Hello, I hope my audio is coming out good. I have kind of a funky setup here with my little external mic. I just wanted to come on here and kind of do a book haul and kind of talk about some of the books that I've been reading. I ordered some books off Amazon and I also bought some from the library. So it's kind of what I've been reading and a haul of some books that I'm excited to read. Now that I've graduated and my little summer job is over, I'm still on the job hunt. I think it's a good time for me to get back into reading. I think like most of us, I was a really avid reader as a kid, and I would sit through hours and read series. I remember really loving the Sarah Dessen books, which I think is this generation's or Gen Z's Pauline Coover. I don't know. But anyway, now I'm excited to get back into some reading for fun now, so let's get started. So I gave myself a Goodreads challenge of 5 books by the end of 2023. I've read 3 so far, so that's pretty good for me. So I've read 3 books so far for my Goodreads challenge. I'll start off with 2 books that I started but didn't finish. So I started All's Well by Mona Awad, I believe, and this was on my little sister's recommendation. She really loved it and I really tried to love it too. I just couldn't get into it. I think I read maybe a few chapters on Libby, which is an ebook app for the New York City Public Library system. I couldn't really connect with the main character too much. She has a chronic illness or some disability that it's something that she can feel and people can't really see, so that got really hard for her. She's a theater or arts professor, and just her inner monologue about her students, I was I don't know, I wasn't really vibing with her, let's put it that way, so I put that off to the side, so I didn't finish reading that. Another book that I started reading was called Night Crawling by Layla Motley, and this book was actually very good. I got through maybe 40% of it, according to Libby. I did not continue reading just because the themes were very heavy and it got very heavy very fast, and it continued being heavy, but it's just telling a story about a girl who's a younger sibling to her older brother. They're on the brink of eviction and they need to find a way to come up with some money. Her brother has these dreams of being a rapper because their uncle was a rapper who from where I read wasn't really helping them out. Their mother was put into an institution, I think, for mental issues because she tried to harm herself after the kid's father died. And then of course the main character, she gets into some unsavory business to make ends meet. It's really about exploitation of young Black women, young women of color, police brutality and things like that. So it was a bit heavy for me, so I decided maybe I won't continue reading this, but it was good. It was good. It had me hooked. The 3 books of the 5 that I read so far from my Goodreads book challenge. The first one that I read was Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri, and I loved it so much. I love a good short story, and this was a collection of short stories that were from the perspectives or told the stories of people South Asian people. I think most of them were from Indian descent. We had a few Bengali short stories, I believe, and it kind of gives you little snippets of people's lives and areas that we really wouldn't think of. The first short story was about this Indian couple who was in Boston who had lost a child due to miscarriage, and it's just them navigating through that in a few short pages. I kind of feel like a fly on the wall for a lot of these short stories. We have some stories about infidelity, stories about how people are treated due to their occupation, their caste, or what have you. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it to anyone who asks. The stories are brief, but you really feel connected to the characters in a way that you feel like a fly on the wall. You've seen their innermost thoughts, you've seen how they deal with things individually, you see what they think of their relationships with people around them. So I really enjoyed that book a lot. And the second book of the 3 that I read was As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Khattuh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this was also another book that I borrowed from my public library. Utilize your public library resources, because I have done the thing where I've seen books on Book Talk and I've bought them and I did not like them. So that was a waste of my money. But As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, if I had bought this book, that would have been great for me, because it's a book that I would love to have in a collection if I had a collection of books. It was so good. It's essentially about this main character named Salama, who was a pharmacy student when the Syrian Revolution started, right? So she was living with her parents and her older brother. She was a normal teenager going to pharmacy school. She had all these dreams, and things happened because of the Syrian Revolution, and now she's a volunteer in the hospital, one of the only hospitals standing in her area, where she's seeing all the tragedies of war and revolution and oppression happen very viscerally in front of her. So she's like, do I leave? And then there's the survivor's guilt. I'm leaving everyone behind. They need an extra pair of hands in the hospital, or do I stay? And then there's also some romance sprinkled in there, and I think it's I love this book. I thought it was very sobering because she's dealing with all this, and there's still like little inklings of hope within her for like a romance. And it's so true, because she's a human, and it's unfortunate that she's living in the situation that she's living in with Syria the way that it is. But I mean, even in those moments, there are these little things that we grasp at as humans to really keep us going forward. And I think I really love how it humanizes the Syrian Revolution by letting us follow this young girl who, this is obviously not the life that she envisioned for herself. And it makes you think of like, this is a lot of people's realities, right? With the Syrian Revolution. And I think the author also took like snippets of things that happened actually in real life from the revolution and put them in the story. So it was good. There is a plot twist in there that I don't think a lot of people expected. I read about people were saying, oh, the plot twist. So I kind of was expecting it. It was still shocking. Definitely get you teary-eyed. It is a tearjerker, but I love this book. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was very good. It's also a young adult novel, but I'm grown and I read it, and it doesn't feel like a young adult novel. So I really love that. Yeah, so that was the second book that I read, and I recently just finished, actually as of last night, I finished reading Pachinko. I am a little late because this was like a hot topic last year, I feel like, especially because they made a series adaptation on Apple TV of this, and I just absolutely love this. I like sped through it in 3 days, I think. I usually just read on my commute because at home I'm like, I don't want to read, like I don't want to like do anything. Like it's a story of love, loss, sacrifice, motherhood, patriotism, self-discovery through 4 generations of one family, and I really did enjoy it. I would have liked to see more of the main character Sunja. I would have liked to see more of her reflections in her old age. That was the last chapter, but I would have liked to see a little bit more from her reflections. But I loved it. Cried a couple times. So if you're looking for a good cry and a good story, definitely read this. And it's also, again, really sobering, and I kind of would like kick myself for reading this right after As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, because like this was people's reality. We learn about Asian history in school growing up, like the occupation of Korea and like Japan's involvement in like imperialism and China and all these things in school, and it's just a chapter, but like these are people's whole entire lives, suffering that their ancestors and their families have gone through. And it's really sobering to think like, wow, this is like, sure, it's fiction, but this is probably something very similar has happened to people in history. And you just feel the unfairness of it all. And I think when I read books like this, or read books that talk about, like slavery or the Holocaust, it's just like it brings me back to like the point that humans have been through a lot, and people have been through a lot. People have been oppressed and persecuted just for being born how they were, and that I think is really sobering. It kind of grounds you in that way. So yeah, I got very attached to some of the characters in this story, and I did cry. So I don't know if I'll be watching the TV series right away, even though I do want to. I'm still a little sad, so maybe I won't watch it ever. But I feel like this is one of those books where I've read it once and it was so impactful, I don't think I can read it again. But I loved this book. So that was the third book out of the 5 that I plan to read for 2023, where I do have a couple books on my to-read list, but these are some that I've borrowed from the library. So to read, I have The Plotters, which is a novel by Kim Moon-soo, and this just looked fun. It looked kind of interesting. I think it's kind of like dark humor. It's about different assassins, and then they have, you know, a plotter, a mastermind who works in the shadows, and they dictate, you know, what criminals do. So I really like that. This one, The Wedding of Zane, is basically, from what I read, it's about a village idiot who will be getting married, right? So I don't know, I don't know what drew me to this. I think it's stories of an underdog, or stories where there's someone who's the odd one out and they go against odds, really touch me. So I think when I read the summary for this, it made me want to read it, and it looks like a pretty short read. I'm excited to see how I feel about this, so stay tuned for this one. And I also am going to be reading The Mothers, a novel by Britt Bennett. And this was a TikTok recommendation I saw in one of those like books that I've been reading, or books that you should read by like people of color or Black women authors. So I'm excited about this one as well. I do think, however, I've done a little bit enough reading on like mother trauma. I think I'm going to be reading this one, A Court of Thorns and Roses. So this is an Amazon buy that I just received. So I think this was also a TikTok recommendation where it was like a fated love type of thing. And enemies to lovers. Right, we need something fun to break up all the sadness that I've been reading. So I'm excited about this. I think this is going to be my carry around book for, you know, subway, bus, whatever, to read. And I have 2 more books that came. Mom by Jessica George was also another one that a lot of people recommended for like Black women authors to read on TikTok. I picked it up. It was a long wait, and it's also $27.99 regular retail, but I think I got it for like maybe $10 or something on Amazon. So I thought, let me get it now. So I'll be reading this a little later, because this is about a woman who kind of has to put everything down to care for her mother, I think. And it's you know, her trying to find her way in life, and I think we're all trying to find our ways in life. So I don't want it to hit home too soon after being like struck in the heart by As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow and Pachinko. So I'll be reading this a bit later. And then the next book I got today was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which is the #1 New York Times bestselling author. And people really think herald this is like comedic, very funny, and someone says it's one of the most transfixing novels I've read in ages. I definitely want to read this. The title and the cover really stood out to me. I am one of the people who judges a book by their cover, so the cover really has to stand out. Like, I'll be in a bookstore and sure, I'll read blurbs and like the first few pages or something, but the cover is what's gonna make me pick it up. So those are the books that I've been reading, and these are the books that I am planning on reading. Oh, maybe I should do a thumbnail. Yeah, so these are the books that I'm planning on reading. So we've got a hefty stack. I am gonna tackle the library borrows first because they have to be returned, and then I'll hit up my bought books. But I will start off with the Thorns and Roses because I love a good enemies to lovers. Like, who doesn't? That is like, I'm just a girl, you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. This is a bit different from my fashion and beauty content that I've been putting up in shorts and regular videos, and it's different from my vlog videos. But in my vlog that I'll have posted, you'll see me at McNally Bookstore, which I like kind of look through and see some of these books in person before deciding to purchase. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.